What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's another preview show for another derby, and I've got Callum here with me once again to look ahead to it. Callum, thanks for joining me again tonight, mate. First of all, we're off to a better start this time because we've got the mics turned on. The viewers will know that the last time we sat down to do this before the 3-2 game, we recorded a 45-minute video, plugged it in a laptop, noticed the mics weren't even turned on. Shambles.
Disaster, mate. Such a disaster. It's not even that as well. Like, people might think that it's genuinely just pushing a button to turn the mic on. It's much more technical, and if anybody out there that knows me watches this will know I'm no great with technical stuff, honestly. Like, so I didn't have a clue. You didn't. It wasn't until after it we found out, like, 45 minutes to the pan, day it all again.
Shambles,
so,
mate. Absolute amateur ever, but we've got it working first time. This time, or we think we have, you never know, we might turn it on. I'm only kidding.
Crossed.
Right, so before we get into it, looking ahead to obviously the semi-final at the weekend, off the back of Saturday, a draw. I mean, it's the first home game we haven't won all season. You weren't on any of the content after the game. Would you make it?
Sadly, I wasn't. I know I had to get home pretty quickly after the game. And in a way I was kind of happy, but I mean, you kind of need to do the win, lose or draw, whatever. I don't really mind, to be fair, and I know that I'm reactive, like I'm genuinely reactive, and it's a good job actually, sorry, that I wasn't on it, because you always go in these things when it happens, it's so raw, and then how harsh is that when in 24 hours later I'm like what an idiot I've just said, like all the things that I've said, and just little things like that, but no, it was a poor performance. Celtic allowed a poor performance. Like, they've given us like some real great moments since Ange just came in.
This season.
Do you know what I mean? So, and we're still on record to get the most wins, most points, most goals, all that. So to then come out of the stadium and be like so harsh is like, it just is. It's just been a critique, and I mean, so I'm kind of glad that I was the odd mate.
So no, it'd have been good. It'd have been good to get your insight. It would have been, and everybody missed you. I'm sure everybody missed you. This is the second preview show I've done this week, because obviously I was on Overlap down in London. By the way, not bad, eh? You travelled into London to talk about Celtic playing Rangers. How does that one? What that one?
Amazing, mate. Amazing. Was it good? Aye.
It was good. Aye. Good experience, man. It was like proper TV. Proper TV studio, like all these camera people running about, sound people. Proper experience, man. It was enjoyable. Just cool to be a part of it. But this is the main preview show, obviously, innit? So coming into this one, obviously we had that draw. And if I have to give a compliment to this Rangers team, it's only they could turn a 1-1 draw against Motherwell into a good result, innit?
I'll tell you a very, very quick story. A boy I know, Ross, is a Motherwell supporter. He was at the game and had seen him from where I was sitting. So I'll go around, I'll quickly go and see him. I go and see him, and I was like, what's your predictions for the day? He's like, you'll either scud us 7 or 8, or it'll be a draw, we'll get points. And I'm like, no chance of a draw. And then he says, ironically, they'll drop something tomorrow, and I thought, nah, mate, it's not going to happen. 2 years dropping points, no chance. Got it spot on the nose. I literally got it right on it. Like, so he predicted, he's seen it. So shout out to Ross. I doubt that he'll watch it. I'll send him this bit, right? So another subscriber.
There you go. nice shout out for him. Rangers obviously beat at Postecoglou at the weekend. It means we only need 3 points. The split fixtures did get confirmed today eventually. The SPFL took their time with that one. It was meant to be yesterday. But we'll go through them before we get into talking about, obviously, Sunday's semi-final. 2 away games to start. Away to Tynecastle, away to Ibrox, before we're home to St Mirren. Nice and easy, eh?
I mean, any game usually is easy for Ange, isn't it, since he's been here. I'm a little bit disappointed, if I'm honest. I kind of wanted a home game in that period. I think, was that going to be 3-4 weeks by the time that we get back to Celtic Park from, obviously, at the weekend there. So that's a little bit of a disappointment. But I mean, I seen a lot of stuff on Twitter today, and it's all Playvata, Summers, Bain, Ralston for the Tynecastle. Like, people are forgetting, like, there's records to be had here, and that's my mindset. Is I don't like it's no, I don't care, but it's in the sense of I want these records, and I'm not really in that mindset of give Hearts the win or whatever. Like no chance. I hate Hearts just as much as I hate Rangers. But I hate Rangers slightly more, right? But Hearts aren't far behind them, so go there, batter them.
There's no chance that'll happen, right? Obviously, because there's no chance that Celtic will approach it like that. But do you remember the game back against Hibs in 2018? We had it to win the league at Easter Road. We get beat 2-1,
and then we won 5.
We beat Rangers 5-0 the next weekend to win the league against them. So that worked out quite well. But no, the team will get into that game at Tynecastle, obviously, like flat out to win it. Obviously, that's the way they approach every game. But also to get the record, to wrap it up as soon as possible. To force Rangers into needing to a guard of honour at Ibrox the following week as well.
every year I just imagine it, 'cause it happens nearly every year, doesn't it? It genuinely happens every year that we talk about this at this time of year, saying, "Will they give us a guard of honour?" It must get sore if you're a Rangers fan, innit? Genuinely, it must, mate.
Lines them right up. The worst thing about playing at Tynecastle is that how many Celtic fans are going to be there to see it if we do seal the title that day? 1,200 max. That's the worst bit about it.
So I actually seen something as well. Twitter's a great insight into it. It's great. It gives you everything that you need to know. But so we kick off 2:15. Tynecastle Rangers are at home. 3 o'clock kick off to Aberdeen at Ibrox. I mean, that's going to be a bit of a challenge in the streets, isn't it? When you consider if we do win, I'd imagine a lot of folk are going to go down to the Gallagher, or your Celtic and Irish pubs in town, and then you're going to get a lot of Rangers fans coming out depressed, knowing that Celtic have just won, and they'll know before, they'll be sitting in their seats knowing if Celtic get the win that the league's done, so they probably leave at like 60th minute because the league's done, so there's no point in staying at your seat, is there, to watch Aberdeen? Like, it's just pointless. So it's going to be a weird one, especially with it being away from home. But you can just imagine the day, the players at the hotel, the amount of fans probably going up to the hotel at Dakota, celebrating, like wishing the team off. You all see it, Celtic Rangers games, you always see that. So you're going to kind of get that, and then the party back at Celtic Park, if they do win, there'll be thousands of people at the stadium. I'll be one. I'll go as well because I'll not get a ticket for it, and it's just a little bit more frustrating, as I says, that you can't then go to Celtic Park the next game and applaud the boys. It's then we're away to Rangers, so but I mean, what more fitting for Rangers fans to get to see a team of champions? Like, so lucky, aren't they?
That's it, mate. Obviously we come into this game, we only played them a few weeks back. It was 3-2 at Celtic Park. There's been 4 games this season, 3 victories for us, 1 draw at Ibrox. How do you feel coming into it? Do you think there'll be any sort of residual, maybe mental lag for the weekend? Obviously it wasn't the best performance of the season. Do you think it will have any impact coming into this game?
You always say the same things every time going into these games, genuinely, and you try and stay away from everything that you've said.
It's been a while since we come in to one of these games off the back of not winning, though, innit?
And then, well, I can't even remember the last time we went into this game with both of us dropping
points
before the game. That's quite a weird one. And then obviously with what's riding on this game, it's massive because it's a little bit of silverware for whoever wins is going to win the final, right? No disrespect to obviously like Falkirk in there, but they're going to get battered whoever they play, genuinely. But this game's massive in so many ways. Obviously, we just heard the news as well that Rangers have lost another legend of the club in Stuart Robertson. Applaud to that guy, by the way, because that guy was a legend in my books for the last 8 years. But so many key figures are leaving the club. I think Michael Beale talked about it when he first came in, that together they need to stay together to be stronger for the future. I mean, he's lost Douglas Park, Stuart Robertson, Ross Wilson, so he's losing a lot of people around him. He's losing a lot of players around him as well, so there's a little bit of a different feeling for them going into the game.
It's a complete rebuild for them next season.
It's massive, it's massive, and for us going into it with the draw at the weekend, you kind of don't know. You're hoping that Celtic will just bounce back, but these games are always nervy. They genuinely are, and sometimes I'll go in and say 3 or 4, whatever, but the games tend to be quite tight because of what's riding on it. See, if this was just a league game at Celtic Park, I'd be much more confident. I know that that's happened like only a couple of weeks ago and it was 3-2, but if you actually look at the game, Rangers only had 2 shots on target and they get the 2 goals. Nothing else comes from it. The game get made to be a little bit more than what it was, and I know Rangers gave us, like John Suter's giving the ball back, I get that, right, but we're there to punish them. If we ever make a mistake, Rangers don't really tend to punish us. So if you take that game on its own, Rangers score a great free kick. You're not scoring them every single weekend, are you? So overall, the game's almost summing up as like a 3-1 game. So there is a bit of a gap. Nervous. I'd probably say I'm nervous going into it because of what it's riding on. It's another treble. I watched the overlap that you were on, and I think it was Alan McCoy says, are you not a little bit surprised that Celtic didn't win more trebles? And I was shocked that he asked that, because look at the history between both clubs. Trebles are not just given out like free-handed, like, here, have a treble today. It's not going to happen. Like, they're solid to win. And I also heard that will be a record if Celtic win the treble. It'll be 8. And nobody in world football has done that as well. So that's a little bit more pressure on us as well that rides on that. But one thing I'll give the team is they're good with pressure. This team are good with pressure. Like, just people like Callum McGregor, he's been here. He'll be settling everybody down, you'd imagine, on Sunday, just calming everybody down, making them sure that it's the game plan. So all these things are massive. But right now, I feel nervous right now. But time it gets closer, I actually go the opposite way from a lot of people. I get more nervous like the start of the week. The further it gets in, I'm like, nah, we'll do them, we'll get the win. But a lot of people are kind of like, nah, we'll do them on the Monday, and then by Friday they're like, no, I don't know, I'm nervous. I'm the opposite, but I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm lucky I've got a ticket as well. I'm so lucky, because there's a lot of people that always
exactly. I'm in the same boat there. Just on McCoy's point, I think we waited till Rangers were back in the league until we started winning the trebles, wasn't it?
Exactly.
So, that's how it went. I think pressure, and this is something Chris Sutton said, and I agree with him. Obviously there's pressure on us to win every game that we play in, and we want to win a treble, we want to beat our rivals, make their season even worse than it already is, but there is so much more pressure in Rangers coming into this game. Aye. Like, if Celtic weren't to come out on top in this game, we're still going to win a league and cup double. It's not going to be an absolute disaster season if we don't win a treble. But if we win it, the pressure on Rangers to prevent us from winning it is huge, because, as you say, it's nigh on guaranteed another treble, a record treble to go to an 8th. We're closing in on a few records. the overall record, the major honours that Rangers various teams over the years have amassed, we're closing in on that as well. I think the pressure is huge on Rangers coming into this game.
Aye, so is it right in saying, should get Martin here, by the way, he's the stats guy, isn't he? Like, somebody actually messaged me, because Martin was talking about, Martin was saying all these stats, and he was brilliant at the stats. I think he was telling you them. And somebody messaged me, he's like, yeah, that Martin guy's just, he reminds me of somebody back in the 70s, the stat person that was coming on the telly every time, just tell stats. He's so good at stats. So Martin, if you're watching, you should be, shout out to Martin, because he's so good with stats. But I'm sure it's 114 major honours right now to 116 to Rangers. Right. Could be wrong there, right? But I think it is that. Celtic win the title, which they are, that will take us to 115, and then if we win this, oh no, it's actually
117.
It's 117 they're on. 117 it is. Yeah. So we go one behind them going into the next season. The treble, so all you need to do is win 2 out of the 3, and hopefully they wouldn't win the other one, or that would be your level at the end of the next season. But there's much more pressure on Rangers than there is us, because, as you said, if we come out of this and, I don't know, say a fluke goal or a Tavernier free kick goes in, just something that you put your hands up and go, it's a great goal, there's nothing you can do, and things like that do happen in games, of course it does. If that does happen, yeah, I'll be disappointed, but at the end of the season, when you look back at it all, we've come out on tops again. The main objective every year is the league title, because of what it gives you financially with the Champions League. Everybody thought it was a fluke with Ange coming in because Gerrard left, and then he had Gio taking them to a European final, and they'll get his next season. Then he comes and he crumbles and he disappears. So there's a lot more pressure riding on Rangers, I think that's fair to say, than probably riding on us, even though there's a lot of history that goes with us and what's there for us if we win that game. But especially Rangers are probably struggling as well with fitness wise on players. I think they've got a few more than we do probably. I think
we've got a few ourselves, but as well, big ones.
We do, but if you look at them, I actually thought Ryan Jack was key for them at Celtic Park in the 3-2 game. He actually done well, to be fair, on breaking up play and sniffing out the danger, and he's probably the best in their squad at doing that. He's not going to make it in the game, so it means the Silky Scouser guy comes in, John Lundstrom, best on earth guy. He's brilliant. He's not, mate, he's not, but he's going to come in and it's, honestly, mate, Celtic will win the battle in the midfield. I seen who's the boy, Raskin. He was in the Aberdeen game, apparently he was carrying a little bit of a niggle. So even in that area, that's a key part in this game. It always is, it always will be, is the midfield. And Our midfield's dead strong, so with Callum McGregor in there. I don't know. You're probably going to ask me who I'm going to put in there.
Before we come to our midfield, obviously we've got some injury concerns in there as well. But before we come to our midfield, I want to talk about the midfield battle in that last derby at Celtic Park. It was 3-2. Obviously, the narrative after the game became that Rangers were slightly the better team for a lot of pundits. Right? I don't know. I don't really agree with that observation, but I do think, particularly in the first half, they stifled us quite well. I think they had Tillman up to join Morelos and try and block the supply into Callum McGregor and make it more difficult for us to build the game for the back. We were missing Rio Hatate, but I thought when Awata was introduced into the game, we got out a lot easier. He was making different angles, the kind of angles from the right hand side that Hatate might usually make from the left, and we were able to get out. And obviously he's been on the pitch 10 minutes and it goes from 1 each to 3-1, and he's a really positive influence in the game. So how do you think the midfield battle will shape up this time? If Hatate isn't to make it, would you go with Awata from the start? That's been the midfield the last couple of weeks. Kilmarnock, Motherwell, and Awata's had decent performances. So would you go with Awata? And do you think that will change that midfield dynamic for the way it was in the first half of that game at Celtic Park?
So I'm just going to try and give you the shortest answer, but Awata's going to start. It'll be him, McGregor, and I think it'll be O'Reilly. That gives us a much more physical midfield. I think sometimes in these games, Rangers always look to be the stronger team and just try and obviously knock us off the ball. It happened this time last year
in the
semi-final, in the Scottish Cup. So that's what they try and get the upper hand on us. We're a little bit more technical, I would say. Players that are a bit better on the ball. If you look back very, very quickly to the League Cup final, the difference was our three midfielders, when Taylor and Johnson both came in, it's almost the three Rangers midfield don't know who to pick up, because then obviously they're coming up against five in the middle of the park. There's only three of them. Obviously with Tavernier and Barisic, they stay out wide a lot of the time, don't come in very often. So you get an upper hand in the middle of the park, and that's why I think that we won that game quite easily at Hampden, because the three midfielders two of them would then go on to Taylor and Johnson, who would want to receive the ball and then try and play it. That's when you get Hatate and you'll get an O'Reilly that will get in behind that three and will then obviously run on to the likes of Tavernier in that pocket between Tavernier and Goldson. That's where the second goal comes from. Rio Hatate picks that space up and he's in between Tavernier and Goldson. He runs along, cuts it across, Kyogo scores. Celtic done it really, really well. The game at Celtic Park was very different, and Rangers almost gave up their game plan of winning the game to stifle Celtic's game plan. So if you keep following me here, in that game when we put Johnson and Taylor that came into the middle of the park, what they done was actually dropped Tillman, as you said, and Kent all the way back, and they done that work, which then allowed the three midfielders to then double up on that side. So when it was O'Reilly in the game, when O'Reilly went out for the ball, and you'd have like Taylor on the side and O'Reilly would go out there as well. He would touch the byline. You would then have Tavernier and you would have Tillman, and then you'd have one midfielder like Ryan Jack. So you'd have three on that side. So Celtic couldn't really get down the sides a lot. We love to get down the sides. We love to do the 1-2s, play a ball over to Maeda. That's where we struggled. But with Rangers doing that in that game, and it was different from the cup game because they didn't know who to pick up in the game. They thought, right, we'll pick up who we need. So the attackers had to do a lot more work. It then meant when they got to the final third, they didn't really have the legs to then go and hurt Celtic. The goals come from, one's a free kick and Tillman, O'Reilly fills, he's running away for goal, and O'Reilly just naive, just dives in. He doesn't need to, but they score a great free kick and it gives them a bit of life. In the second half, when you talk about Awata coming on, it changed again, and that's when they kind of struggled a little bit. They never really got onto him at all, and that's when, as you says, he starts finding pockets, starts finding spaces, then can feed the ball into people that finds more space, then hurts the back line of Rangers. And that's where they kind of struggled, and then the second goal just comes out of nothing. But that's how I think they'll go into this game. I think they'll look for the first 45 minutes to keep it 0-0, keep it tight. Try and obviously hit us on the break. That's what they'll rely on. Then again, we talk about injuries. Ryan Kent, is he going to be fit or not? He's not obviously played for the last two games. So that's one. Connor Goldson, I think's touch and go for them as well. So that's kind of key, because I don't really think John Souttar and Davies are a great partnership. I think Kyogo would fancy his chances there. Even with Goldson, to be fair, he would fancy chances at all, because he scored 4 goals. It's easy for him.
5 in his last 3.
5 in his last 3, aye. So that's probably, technically looking at it, that's what I seen the difference was, is Rangers front three were a lot more deeper, trying to do a lot more work off the ball, but then in return it gave them a little bit less legs getting up the park, and then it almost kind of counteracted their plan to win the game, because it just almost stifled Celtic's game plan. But eventually our quality told.
Can I just say on that bit, by the way, we need to get a tactics board in here.
Mate, I was actually thinking that today, right? I was genuinely
iPad.
I'm going to go and buy one with the counters, and move them just to show you that I had it in my head, and I thought I need to get this out pretty decent in my head for people watching this, because I talk 100 miles an hour, I understand. So I'm like, right, think about it, what am I thinking? And I thought, that's how I could see it. And I thought, Tactics Board would have been great.
That's on the agenda for the next preview show, Tactics Board at the side there. Rio Hatate, Callum, he's been out for 5 weeks. Time we can't play this game, he's been out for 5 weeks, right? So, tall order to throw him into this game for the start, even if he is fit. I think Ange said today that he's training, he's due to train all week. The tall order to throw him in it. 5 weeks without a game.
He's not starting, no chance. I did see an article just before we came on and done this, says that Abada, Rio and Jota are all likely to train this week, that they're all booked in to train, which is a positive. I think Jota will start. He'll start. How long has he been out since the last Rangers?
He missed Kilmarnock. Missed Motherwell, missed Kilmarnock.
So he's missed the 2 games. So I think he'll come back into the team.
He's big for us, isn't he? Because he's been playing well up to the Rangers game, and including the Rangers game, he's been playing well.
He is big. I also think Abada's just as big as Jota. And because Abada, he seems to strive in these games. He's so good in these games for somebody so young.
Big goal threat.
It's like when in these games you always knew Tom Rogic in the past would be good. Rangers never liked Tom Rogic. I've got a feeling they don't really like Abada, even though he doesn't start many of these games. He really only starts at Celtic Park, so he's not going to start this game. It'll be Maeda and it'll be Jota. But having him on the bench, I mean, Barisic just doesn't fancy him at all, does he? So it's a great option for us to have, so we need him back. But Rio Hatate, I don't think he'll start the game. I mean, I'd love to be proved wrong. I'd love to be going up and go, brilliant, he's starting, and I think that would kind of hurt Rangers a little bit, seeing him in the team lineup, kind of going, oh, man, I wish it wasn't him. But would
you maybe give him 60 minutes? If he just say to him, if you can give 60 minutes,
do you
we'll bring you off.
I'd actually probably reverse it, and I'd bring him. I wouldn't start him even if he was fit.
Keep him as a sub.
I'd keep him as a sub, and the only reason I say that is Rangers in these games, if you look past all season, they've never had a good first 45 minutes. So you look at the Ibrox 2H game, they were losing that half. You look at the Celtic Park, we were 3-0 up in the first game. You look back at the game just 3 weeks ago, we were up at half time again. Sorry, it was a draw because they scored late on, but it was quite a comfortable half. So you're seeing throughout these games, and then obviously in the League Cup final we were up as well. So in all of these games, Rangers haven't went into the first 45 minutes winning a game. So it tells you that we start very strong, and it tells you that in the second half they seem to get a bit of an upper hand from, not the full 40, I'd say maybe like a 20 to 35 minute period. Rangers can get a real good momentum, and it can obviously go in their way. That's where it's really good to then bring on somebody like Hatate, quality. If you're Rangers and you're maybe 1-0 down at the weekend and you're considering that and you're going, right, let's push that, and you see Hatate coming on, you're not thinking, right, I'm going that way to score. You think, I need to watch him in behind me. And it almost just feels it into your head that I need to step back a wee bit and see when in your legs. And then everything, psychology comes into the game, doesn't it? Like everything just builds up in your head going, I need to watch him in behind me, because one ball, he's in, he'll pick somebody out and we're done. So I think almost bringing him off the bench gives us a bigger boost than starting him, because he's not fit. That's what I would do.
Quickly on Abada, right, I don't want to turn it into a transfer show, so even in a word, your gut feeling, are we going to keep him past the summer?
No chance. Gutted, to be fair, gutted, but I understand that's the model of the club, and see if Celtic get between 10 and 20 million in that bracket, it's great business for us.
It's gathering a wee bit of pace in it. There's a few clubs we've been linked to him.
I mean, Ajax and
did I see Benfica were floating about the other day as well? It's just there's too many rumours now.
Both been to Benfica, lovely place, isn't it? So I'd rather him go to Benfica than Ajax. But that's what we brought him in. I think it was 3.5 million we spent. He's gave us goals, especially the first season. He done really well for us. He's young. Get a sell on fee. Get 14-15 million for him, and it's brilliant business for the club.
And the key is replacing them, which we've done relatively well
under
Ange. But anyway, coming back to this game, another thing that we've been discussing this week is the managers and the challenge. I think obviously when Ange came to this country, he was underestimated by everybody, Celtic supporters included, to begin with, right? But what I think has been so clear through his spell at the club so far is he's so experienced. He's so experienced, obviously, tactically and in terms of his management, but also in terms of how he deals with the media as well. And I think I think Ange is the biggest problem for Rangers in trying to close the gap to this Celtic team, because Michael Beale obviously doesn't have a lot of experience in the dugout. Well less than 100 games. He'd only had those 16 or 18 games at QPR, whatever it was, before he became the Rangers manager. Ange Postecoglou's closing in on 700 games as a manager. He's so experienced, and that is the strongest. That is the strongest thing about this Celtic team just now, isn't it? The manager.
Of course it is. It's just look at Celtic 20 odd months ago, and we were an absolute mess, and Rangers were laughing, going, "Oh, title after title," and it just shows you if you can actually get your house in order and get somebody that leads for the top. It's almost like when we had Neil Lennon, it was like you had Peter Lawwell choosing the team one weekend, Neil Lennon choosing it. It was Gavin Stratton's iPad choosing it. As soon as Ange came in, it was military form. It was, I'm the boss here. What I say is go. You don't like it, go away. Go and pick another club. See you later. It's not going to happen. And it was almost like he said that to the board as well. It's like, this is how I run things. If you don't like it, I'll be off. Like, that's how it is. And they've almost went, take it away. These are the confinements that you need to work within. These are the budget, the money, all of this. And he's fine. Right, I'll do it. And he's shown that he can do it. Do you know what I mean? He's just a top class manager. Kind of in a way, when they wanted to appoint a manager of Rangers, I was actually hoping they would get somebody a little bit more experienced that would give them a bit more of a challenge. Like, no being like in a cheeky way. Like they were talking about Sean Dyche at the time. I thought that'd be quite a good manager. Like, because managers want to test themselves against the best, of course they do. So if you get somebody in that's really quality, has got a lot of experience, like Sean Dyche did, people can argue about his football, right? But coming up here and taking control of the two biggest clubs, well, that's obviously, you're going to have a lot of positive results going your way. So it would have been good for Ange to test himself. Beale is, he's untested, and I think Ange's got the upper hand on him. He's kind of proven that, and it's not really me just plucking out of thin air and just saying, oh, he's got, because I'm a Celtic fan, no, he's got the upper hand. He does, like, he's shown on that record, and Beale's got a lot of pressure on him, because if he doesn't win this game, he's not won a must-win game yet. Like, technically, like, when you're getting to the nitty-gritty, when, like, medals are getting handed out, he's kind of falling away a little bit. That Aberdeen game was quite big for him there at the weekend, I thought, because with us dropping points, it could have been a statement to say, bang, we've just won, I don't know, 2-3-0 at Pittodrie, like, we're coming next week. I actually seen, who's the Rangers, one of their coaches, is it Banfield, the boy for Arsenal, said, we remember Ange's comments for the League Cup final, and they're up in, like, the dressing room, we're coming for you. I thought, mate, you first need to get out of Aberdeen first. like didn't be cheeky, but come on, get out of Aberdeen first before you come for us. So I just be things like that. I think he likes it, Ange. It kind of like, it ruffles him up, but the right way, almost like you can see that's going to get pinned in the dressing room. And you've seen the little clips. Do you remember the Australian clip? And he goes mental, like Ryan McGowan's and Tom Roach and Adam Moyes goes mental. Like, you can kind of see that. Like, I can almost envisage what he's going to, not what he's going to say, but almost like that. Like, euphoria moment of just sitting there and watching them, getting inspired to then go out and go and get a treble, like, go and get it, like. So I know it's a semi-final, it's not the final, right? But there's just big moments. But Ange's key to Celtic. Like, if we were to lose them, I think Celtic probably wouldn't be as good as what they are right now. That's probably fair to say.
Aye, I think that the pressure's on Michael Beale, not just Rangers because they want to stop us winning the treble. Michael Beale, because, as you say, he's being judged in these games, and he hasn't succeeded or come out on top in one yet. Just a quick note as well, could it be a quadruple for Celtic? Because we've won the League Cup, we're closing in the league, we've got Scottish Cup semi-final this weekend, and now we're 4 points clear and winning the league since Michael Beale came in as well.
That's why we've got the title.
We got
the title, didn't he?
We got a trophy for that one. Maybe it's a wee mini one.
Oh, of course, mate.
That's why we've brought this here today.
Who was it that said
this is a wee mini trophy for winning the league since Michael Beale came in.
Conor Goldson said that or something once. It's like, we're going to try and win the league for now, like, because we're level on points.
So we're 4 points clear on the win the league for now.
So
as well.
So getting 2 winners' medals. Like,
what a season, eh?
That's class, isn't it?
What a season.
That's class.
Right. Any other, in terms of personnel, any other areas? Obviously, if Jota doesn't make it, for example, Haksabanovic has 2 starts recently, no quite matched the levels that we've seen from him off the bench this season. He has played on the right hand side a lot though, which I don't think suits him. Much better on the left. If Jota doesn't make it, we've only really got Haksabanovic. If Abada doesn't make it, and again Abada's in the same situation as Hatate, where he's been out for 5 or 6 weeks and you can't just throw him back in. So would you have any concerns about us maybe going forward in the wide areas? Do you think that was a factor at the weekend, actually?
I mean, I like when I'm sitting at the stadium and I'm watching the game and I'm going to just shift the players, like swap Maeda. Maeda's best attribute is his pace, right? Everybody knows that. He's got an all right left foot. Not a great one, not a poor one. It's all right because like 50-50 his crosses can be either stinking over hit or they can be decent, right? I think he'd be so good on the right side. I genuinely do. I think he'd be brilliant. Just knocking a ball by somebody, running into space and whipping it across goal. Like, I think he'd be really good at that. Haksabanovic is very like Jota. You take a lot away for both their games if they both play on the right. I genuinely, Jota always wants to come in when he's on the right. He never wants to like do a little step over, beat the guy and whip the ball in. He doesn't really do that. So that is a massive factor. I think Jota will be fit. I think he will be fit. And even when players usually aren't fit, they can always take like just like a re-injection to get them through it, because this is really all or nothing for us, like in the sense of to get the treble or we get the 2 trophies, that's it. After that we can kind of relax after the games, obviously taking Hearts and we win that, of course, then the title's done. But it's quite big. I mean, just thinking in my head quickly, like I don't see it happening, but maybe with the midfield battle, because that's where I think Rangers are going to try and win that. They're going to be really key. I think they're going to probably play Raskin, John Lundstrom, and they'll probably Cantwell, I'd imagine, and then probably be Kent, Tillman on the right maybe. And what they'll do is they'll probably drop Kent and Tillman again in, so they'll try and make a 5 to compete with us. So the only way that I'm thinking, but it will never happen, is if Jota didn't make it, it would be Maeda on the right, and you could actually pop one and McGregor up left, like left wing, where he played for Brendan Rodgers when he scored the goal at Ibrox. You can maybe play him, it's not going to happen, but you could play him there, and then it allows you to then play Awata, Moy, O'Reilly, and then when we don't have the ball, McGregor drops in and almost competes in the middle of the park with their 5, then we're almost 6, because Johnson and Taylor then go in as well. So tactically it's a great insight to see what happens. That's not going to happen, I don't think so.
I think with Maeda in this game, he's obviously going to play on the left, because that, like in terms of restricting Tavernier for coming forward, he's been so effective. But the game at the weekend, he needs space, doesn't he? He needs a bit of space. Maeda, difficult, and Marlowe defended well, and they're quite deep, so it's difficult for Maeda to get in behind.
My worry is a little bit, that's why that popped into my head there with Callum McGregor quickly, was because I'm always thinking Falkirk and Ayr up. It's not Falkirk and Ayr, I've said that already, it's Falkirk and Inverness.
Aye,
isn't it? Falkirk and Ayr, what am I saying? So Falkirk and Inverness are playing on the Saturday. That's a bit of a major problem. Hampden pitch hasn't been great this year, and we need to see kind of what the state of the pitch is in. If you remember back to the League Cup final, Maeda he got by Tavernier, but couldn't whip across, and he kept putting the ball out or running with the ball and just running out. That's kind of why that idea popped into my head. If that was, he might put Maeda onto Barisic and move McGregor up one, or I don't know, even move O'Reilly up one and try and not even play out wide, just almost let Taylor go out wide and then cover that position and get him to cross it. I'm not really sure how he's going to go about it, but it's going to be an inch. Like in my head I can just see like so many different ways of how it's going to go. I think we've got a lot more ways of setting up than Rangers do. I think Rangers are quite set on the same kind of way, and they've got a kind of 11 that I can think of. Celtic have a couple of different options that they can go down that route. So I mean, I'm going to be nervous on Sunday morning when it comes up and I see the team and I think, right, okay, like it's probably going to be the same team that started against Motherwell, it probably is, but there's so many different ways we can go about it, but I'm just looking forward to it, mate.
There's obviously always nerves, especially with a semi-final, and we did lose this fixture last season in extra time, but before we round up, when it comes to the crunch in this fixture with this Celtic team, you trust them. You trust them to play under the pressure, to deal with the pressure, and more often than not, come out on the winning side. And hopefully that's the case against Sunday.
Aye, this is the Real Madrid. We went to the Bernabeu and you knew that it was coming. Like you just thought, but we still played our football. And Celtic need to be, as I said, Rangers done all right at the Celtic Park a couple of weeks ago because they pressed us. They did press us at times, and they were good in their shape, and that's what they were good. And the Celtic need to kind of play through it a little bit more.
But even mentally, we've got the upper hand mentally because we didn't even play to our level, and we still managed to come out with the points.
The genuinely, you just took the words out of my mouth. That is genuinely what I was just about to say, because when you look at that game, Rangers did press as well, and people came out of the game saying, "Oh, Rangers had the upper hand." Well, it's not about who has the upper hand; it's what the scoreline is at the end of the game. And this team's so good at grinding results out, and I just think that's going to be massive. Mentality's massive going into this game, and I'm not going to get into it too much, but like obviously James Taverner's been here for such a long time and he's not won a lot. Like that must play genuinely in your own head, going, this guy that I'm shaking his hand and like going up face to face and just thinking, you took every trophy away from me, most of them. Like that must be sickening genuinely. Like, because if I came up against somebody at like football level, like amateur level, and it'd be like, all right mate, and he was battling me every time, I'd be like, I'm packing in, I'm not doing it. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, so It's going to be hard for Rangers, but it's everything to play for, and I just hope Celtic come out on the right side of it.
What a prospect! What a prospect! Looking forward to it. Should be a brilliant atmosphere. The cup final was brilliant, and obviously everybody's wearing hoops as well.
Oh, aye, wearing hoops, green and white. Aye, because obviously we're not allowed like a display hand, obviously, because of what happened last time.
Aye. So looking forward to it. Should be a brilliant atmosphere. Last thing, as always, mate. That's the prediction.
To be fair, this is why I've been invited back for the third time, innit? Because I've got two predictions, no too far. I got the first one back at Ibrox last season. Alright, I got that to a T. That one just there, I said, what did I say, 3-0, 3-1? I think I said something like that, but I got Celtic's 3 goals, and I got Kyle first goal scorer, right, to be fair, so I wasn't far off, to be fair. Didn't probably give Rangers enough credit to get goals, to be fair. This game's going to be tight, and it's going to be tight. Nobody's going to go gun-ho, I don't think. I think the first 20 minutes is going to be really tight. A lot of the ball's going to get lost, people just being lazy on it. I think there's going to be nerves on both sides, because Rangers know what it's worth to Celtic, and then Celtic know that they're going to try and stop them and rub it in their faces, and have the last party of the season, because obviously you finish the title and then it gets to the Scottish Cup final in June. So there's going to be a lot riding on it. Where I think this game is going to be won and lost, it's probably going to be on the substitutes. I think Celtic are going to win it by somebody coming off the bench and scoring and winning the game. I can see it being one each, probably going into 65-70 minutes. Then I can see it being nervy, Paul. Really, really nervy. I so hope I'm wrong, but I can see it being just that nail-biting experience, just being horrible. And I can see an almost Tom Rogic moment of that time lightning struck. I can see something. I'm going to give you that. It's going to be 2-1 Celtic. We're going to score from, we're the best, aren't we? Probably, I think we've scored the most goals actually in British football from the 80th minute onwards this season. Right. I think we've scored more goals than any other club out there. So we're good for a goal, to be fair. The fact that it never happened against Motherwell means that we're due one to happen again. So I'm going to go and stick my neck out, and I'm going to go for a Callum McGregor. A Callum McGregor trophy moment. He's going to be picking that up soon. He's going to pick up the Scottish Cup as well. I'm going to think that he's going to get one. It'll come from my corner, it'll bounce out and he'll hit it, and say a little 1-2-1.
That's very detailed, mate. Very detailed. As ever, I'll be giving you no prediction. I just hope Kyogo's saving his 30th goal of the season for Sunday.
I hope so, mate. Honestly, I hope so, innit?
Aye. Got to be in it. He's had a couple of chances.
It's got to be, aye.
He's saving it for Sunday. Mate, thanks for joining us again. There you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Like this video, comment your own thoughts below. If you haven't seen the overlap, I'll link it up in the description as well, and I'll see you later on in the week with the starting 11 prediction. Cheers.